We are now in the final week of the NFL season. We've been killing it this year. We are now 174 and 79 overall. That is within the top 10% of picks predictors. We are also 54 and 24 in prop bets, which is also insane. So if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe. We'll have more videos coming into the playoffs, and we'll also have our full playoff predictions coming right after week 18 ends. So if you want to keep up with our picks and our bets, please like this video and subscribe. With all that being said, let's get straight into the picks. We are starting with the first game on Saturday, a game with huge playoff implications, the Panthers on the road in Tampa against the Bucs. These teams just played and the Panthers won 23-20. They've been playing a lot better football and the Bucs have been ice cold the last 2 months. But the Bucs have been getting healthier and those players are building some better continuity. I think a big factor in this game is going to be running the football. Rico Dowdle versus Bucky Irving. Rico Dowdle has been having a fantastic year, and Bucky Irving is starting to pick it up since coming back from injury. I'd say the Panthers have the slight advantage with Rico Dowdle being the better running back this season, but they are going up against a really good Tampa Bay run defense, so I think they could slow him down a little bit. But for the Bucs, Bucky Irving is such a dynamic player. He has a huge impact in the pass game as well, so I think that's a huge factor in this game. And what's going to come down to is really Baker Mayfield. He's been struggling these past few weeks. I know he's hurt, and we've seen that in the past. When Baker gets hurt, he doesn't play up to his standard. I think that's what's going on here. But with the game on the line, playing at home, he's got Mike Evans back. He's got Chris Godwin back. Ibuka's healthy. Bucky Irvin's healthy. I think this offense finds a way to click, and they get the win at home to make a final push to get into the playoffs. All they'll need is for the Saints to beat the Falcons. For prop bets, I like Mike Evans receiving yards, and you could also look at Ibuka. Here we have another game with playoff implications, a battle for the 1 seed in the NFC, the Seahawks on the road in San Francisco. Now this is the regular season and they are only playing for the 1 seed, but this game could feel like the NFC Championship. These two teams definitely have what it takes to get there, so we'll get a little playoff preview here in week 18. I think the story of this game is going to be the best player for each team and how much of an impact they can have. JSN has to have a great game against this San Francisco defense that just give up a ton of points to the Bears. I think he could easily go over 100 yards in this game with a touchdown. And if the Niners want to stay in it, Christian McCaffrey is going to have a great day. He's been carrying this offense, and while Brock Purdy's been playing well, he's going up against a way better defense than he did last week in the Seattle Seahawks. And I think this Niners offense finally comes down to earth after being on a hot streak this past 2 weeks. Seattle's defense is one of the best in the league. I think they'll do a great job of limiting Purdy and slowing down Christian McCaffrey. While the Niners have still been winning games, even with all the injuries they've had, I still think Seattle is a better overall team. So we are going to take them to get the win on the road in San Francisco to get that 1 seed, and the playoffs will run through Seattle in the NFC. For prop bets, like we talked about, I really like JSN's receiving yards. Here we have an NFC South matchup. While neither of these teams can make the playoffs, they can affect who gets in. Like we talked about, this will have a huge effect on the Panthers and Bucs game. If the Saints win and the Bucs win, the Bucs will get in. If the Panthers win, they automatically get in. But if the Bucs win and the Falcons win, then the Panthers will still get in. So this is going to be a battle, Shug versus Cousins. I like the way that Tyler Shug is playing. He's been really leading this team. They've been getting some tough wins, and he's been playing a lot better football. It seems like he's improving every single game. And then you have Kirk Cousins, who's been playing better football as he's gotten more opportunity. This Falcons offense is finally starting to get healthy. Bijan's having a huge impact, and they got Drake London back. It looks like Kyle Pitts is finally starting to hit his stride. So we do favor the Falcons in the run game, so the key to this game is turnovers. I believe whichever team wins the turnover battle will win this game. I think the Saints end up doing that and getting the win on the road. They're the better team right now, they're playing better football, and I believe in Tyler Show more than I do in Kirk Cousins. Betting-wise, we are going to pass. Now for the first game on the Sunday slate, we have a game that could decide the AFC South. The Jaguars are at home against the Tennessee Titans, and with a win, they will win the AFC South and at least secure the 3rd seed. Trevor Lawrence has been the best quarterback over the last 6 weeks in the NFL. He's been absolutely dealing. He's what's taken this Jaguars team to the next level. Going into Denver and being the best team in the AFC was huge for their confidence. I think this team has finally taken the next step under first-year head coach Liam Cohen, who definitely deserves Coach of the Year. And like we talked about, the Jags are just the best overall team in the AFC right now. They have the best run defense in the NFL. only allowing around 86 yards rushing per game. They've had some injuries in their secondary, so that is their weak spot. But the players who have had to step in have been playing really well, so that's picked up the slack. And then this offense has been clicking on all cylinders. Brad Thomas Jr. is the deep threat. Jacoby Myers is the intermediate guy. And then you have guys like Parker Washington and Brenton Strange. Parker Washington who can beat you at all three levels, and then Brenton Strange that can be in the short and intermediate level. So as long as Trevor Lawrence keeps playing with his confidence and keeps using his legs, which are a huge factor, to create plays and extend plays, this Jags team could beat anybody in the league. But when looking at the Titans, you can say they've been playing better as of late. They finally started to put points up on the board. Cam Ward is playing better football. He's been making splash plays all year long. But this Titans offense is finally starting to click, and they're putting up points more consistently. I don't think they'll have as much success as they've had in the last few weeks, and the Jaguars will get a dominant win at home. For prop bets, I really like everything Jacoby Myers. Here we have an interesting matchup, the Cowboys on the road in MetLife. Jackson Dart versus Dak Prescott. Jackson Dart has had an impressive rookie year, and Dak Prescott has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. I think this is a great matchup. The Cowboys have an explosive offense, and I think they'll take advantage of this New York Giants secondary, but I do think this New York Giants pass rush will get after Dak Prescott in this game. Abdul Carter, another rookie, has been coming into his own for the New York Giants. He's been improving game after game, and I think he has a huge impact in this one. But like we talked about earlier, this Cowboys team has playmakers all over the field. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, and like we talked about, Dak Prescott has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. I think it ends up being just too much for this Giants secondary. This Cowboys team is just going to put up too many points for this Giants offense to hang with. While I do like Jackson Dart, while I do like Wan'Dale Robinson, the Giants are just missing too many pieces on offense to keep up with the Cowboys in this game, and I think the Cowboys get the win on the road in MetLife. For props, I do like George Pickens receiving yards. Now we have another AFC South game with playoff implications. The Colts on the road in Houston. The Colts aren't playing for anything, but if the Texans win and the Jags lose, the Texans will end up getting the 3 seed. If the Jags win and they still win, they'll end up in the 5th seed. So the Texans are still playing for something, and I think their defense really gets after Riley Leonard in this Colts offense. They're going to stop the run with Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to put it on Riley Leonard's shoulders to beat them through the air, which I just don't think that he'll be able to do. He's played limited snaps this year, only coming in when he needs to. They obviously didn't feel comfortable enough to leave him in when Daniel Jones went down. So I do think the Colts really struggle on offense, but I do think the Texans will struggle on offense as well. They've been playing better as of late, definitely with more consistency, but I'm just not sold on this Texans offense. They don't have the best run game, and they really don't have a good offensive line. CJ Stroud keeps turning the ball over, and that could keep the Colts in this game. I do think Nico Collins will have a good day. I think this will be a game where Stroud targets him a lot. But if you're the Texans, you're just trying to control the clock in this game and let your defense win this game for you. I think they'll try to run the ball a lot with Woody Marks, and that'll lead to them getting the win at home against the Colts and most likely securing the 5 seed in the playoffs. For props, I do like Woody Marks over and rushing yards. Here we have the Browns on the road in Cincinnati. 2 teams that are out of the playoffs, and there's not much playoff implications in this game. But it will be interesting to see Joe Burrow versus Shedeur Sanders. The Browns have been finding ways to almost win games the past few weeks. They had a good win against the Steelers, but we really haven't seen Shedeur play a complete game and the Browns win. He's been pretty inconsistent, but you do see the flashes. And then on the other hand, you have Joe Burrow, who's been getting better and better every single week. He's coming off a great week, and I think you see Jamar Chase and T. Higgins flourish in this game. The Browns' defense has been pretty good all year long, but they have been getting gashed on the ground. So I do think you see Chase Brown have a good game in this one, and I think that opens it up for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to get some big catches downfield. The Bengals' defense isn't very good either, and I think Shedeur could have his best game of the year and end the season on a positive note. I think that'll be huge for him. I think he knows he definitely needs that. It seems like the Browns really don't want him to play, but he's been proving them wrong. So if he wants to remain the starting quarterback, I think he really needs to have a great game in the last week of the season. And I think that's very possible against this Bengals defense. Although I do think he plays well, I don't think they get the win in this game. I think this Bengals offense scores too many points, and they end up getting the win at home. Betting-wise, we're going to pass, but you could take Jamar Chase or T. Higgins receiving yards. Here we have an AFC East matchup, the Dolphins on the road in New England. This is a huge game for the Patriots. They're fighting for the 1 seed, but they're also just trying to secure the 2nd seed. They can do that with a win over the Dolphins. The main matchup in this game is Drake May versus Quinn Ewers. Obviously, you have an MVP type candidate versus a rookie, only with a few starts under his belt. They played better last week in a win over the Bucs. That was definitely a positive sign for this Dolphins team. But their offense really revolves around Devon Achane. Whether it's on the ground or through the air, he is really their entire offense, and I think there's an argument that he's been the best running back in the league this year. They've been a bad team, so you haven't heard much about him and his impact, but he's really a special talent, and he's a complete running back. I definitely think that presents problems for this New England team. While they are pretty well-rounded, they have shown their weaknesses throughout the past few weeks. They didn't play very well against the Ravens, and really their schedule has been really weak all year long. I think if there's a surprise team in the playoffs to lose early, it's them, and I think they could be in for a surprise in this game. But because the Dolphins are playing some backups, they don't really have much to play for, and the Patriots are still trying to play for something, we are going to give them the win at home. I think this one could be close, but we are going to stick with the Pats. Betting-wise, I like everything Devon Achane. Here we have the Packers on the road in Minnesota. This is a game where Green Bay's already clinched the playoffs. They have some quarterback injuries, and it looks like they're going to be resting starters. The Vikings look like they're going to be starting Max Brosmer at quarterback, so it's hard to say that they're going to be able to win this game just because he hasn't had the best rookie season so far. But they're playing for pride at this point. Green Bay is just looking to get to this game without injuries. It looks like Clayton Tune might be the starter for them. With them sitting some guys down, I like the Vikings' chances of getting a win at home more simply for that reason. You know, guys like Justin Jefferson want to end their season with a good game. I think they do just enough in this game at home to get the win. For props, I do like Justin Jefferson's yards. Here we have a game with some playoff implications. The Lions on the road in Chicago. It's going to be Jared Goff versus Caleb Williams. Two players going in opposite directions. Jared Goff has been struggling big time recently, and Caleb Williams has been winning games for this Bears team. Both these teams have a bunch of weapons. The Bears, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Kyle Monangai, DeAndre Swift, their tight ends. And the Lions have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Honor St. Brown, Jamison Williams. So both of these teams got weapons. So it's really going to come down to whose run game is more efficient. The Bears have been running the ball better than the Lions have. But the Lions obviously have more talent at the running back position. So I call that about even. I think the difference in this game is who's playing for more. And at this point, it's going to be the Bears. The Lions are looking to play spoiler and ruin some of the Bears' seeding, but they're just not playing good football right now. And I think the Bears take advantage of that and win this game at home. Here we have the Jets on the road in Buffalo. The Jets probably the worst team in football going against the Bills, who are just worried about seeding in the playoffs. The Bills are going to be resting starters in this one. I know that they're going to start Josh Allen in this game, even though he's been banged up. So I guess it is a little bit of a question if he's going to play. But they do want to win this game. They do want to keep the higher seed. So I think the Bills will keep the starters in long enough to win the game, but they probably won't play the whole game. And then the argument for the Jets is they just need a positive game to end the season. They've had a terrible season so far. They've been getting blown out in every single game. And if they want to win this game, it's going to have to be with the run game and Breece Hall. Obviously, the Bills are going to want to run the ball as well. That's definitely their recipe for success with James Cook. But again, they're going to pull starters somewhere in this game. And I think the Jets have a chance when that happens to make a comeback for this game. And when that happens, I think the Jets will have a chance to make a comeback in this game. But we're not going to predict it. We are going to take the Bills to get the win at home. And for props, I like Breece Hall's rushing yards. This game between the Chargers and the Broncos had all the writings of a great game. But the Chargers decided they're going to rest starters. They don't want to get Justin Herbert injured. So it's going to be pretty simple. The Broncos pass rush is going to get after whoever's playing quarterback for the Chargers, and they're really going to focus on the run game. I think this is going to be a relatively low-scoring game. The Broncos are going to do what they need to do to run all the time off the clock and get a good lead in this game, and then they're going to want to end it quick without getting any injuries. So we are going to take the Broncos to get the win at home. We'd have a lot more to talk about in this game if the Chargers weren't resting starters, but that's just how it goes. And the Broncos end up getting the 1 seed in the AFC. And betting-wise, we're going to pass. Here we have a game between the Chiefs and the Raiders where it doesn't mean much. Both of these teams are not making the playoffs. The Raiders are probably trying to lose this game because they want to keep that number 1 draft pick. and I see them achieving that in this game. They've put all their good players on IR. Even though they're playing a Chiefs team with a bad quarterback situation, their third-string quarterback was playing a little bit better last week against the Broncos. I see them carrying that into this one and ending their season on a positive note. I think they're going to run the ball a lot in this game, both teams, and just trying to get out with no injuries to end the season. So we are going to give the win to the Chiefs. I think the Raiders are really going to do everything they can not to win. And the Chiefs are going to have a mid-first round pick no matter what. So they might as well end the season on a good note. Betting-wise, we're going to pass. Here we have the Cardinals on the road in LA versus the Rams. Jacoby Brissett versus Matthew Stafford. These divisional games could always be a toss-up, but the Rams are still playing for something and the Cardinals are out of the playoffs. The Cardinals do have the weapons to win these type of games against high-powered offenses, but the Rams are still playing for something. They're playing for seeding. They want to win this game and get as many home playoff games as they can. They've also been on a little bit of a cold streak, and they want to rectify that in the last game of the season before the playoffs. I think they play their starters until they get a comfortable lead and they take them out, and they get a pretty easy win at home in LA. For props, you got to look at Puka, but he could get benched if they're up by a lot of points. So maybe look at Trey McBride or Michael Wilson's receiving yards. Okay, here we have the Commanders on the road in Philly against the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be wearing those cool uniforms. Jalen Hurts versus Josh Johnson. Both of these offenses aren't playing very well, but you could almost argue that this Washington Commanders offense with Josh Johnson or Mariota is operating just as well as the Eagles offense. They've been struggling big time. You can't have quarterbacks throwing for negative passing yards in second halves and expect to win football games, especially in the playoffs. And that's why the Eagles rely so heavily on their defense to try to get them through games. In a perfect world for an Eagles team, they're going to want rainy, snowy conditions to try to keep it a sloppy game and a more physical game. That's how they're going to win the games in the playoffs. But if they're playing a team with a high-powered offense, it's going to be a tough day for them. And I think this Commanders team, even with Josh Johnson, can hang with the Eagles in the last game of the season. They played better in their win last week. I think they have a chance in this one. But ultimately, I think they're going to turn the ball over against this Philadelphia Eagles defense a little too much to win this football game. It could be a squeaker, but we are going to take the Eagles to get the win at home. And we are going to bet props. I like Saquon Barkley's rushing yards. Here we have the final game of the slate, Sunday Night Football, for all the marbles in the AFC North. The Ravens on the road in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. This is a huge game with a lot of question marks. The Ravens' health. Who's starting at quarterback? Is it going to be Lamar? Is it going to be Tyler Huntley? Either way, I still think they'll get similar production at the quarterback position. A hurt Lamar isn't much better than a healthy Tyler Huntley, and that showed when the Ravens were able to win last week. So it's going to be Rodgers versus one of them, maybe Lamar. For Rodgers, he's going to be missing his best receiver, DK Metcalf, who's suspended, and then their best tight end, Darnell Washington, who is just getting going, broke his arm last week. So the Steelers are going to be without a lot of their weapons, and they're going to have to rely on their defense. And they're going up against Derrick Henry, who's probably been the best running back in the last 10 years of the NFL. He's having another great season, and it's going to be a tough matchup for the Steelers' defense. But I do think the Steelers are going to limit Derrick Henry enough to win this football game. They've been playing a lot better as of late, and what's really been limiting the Steelers is their offense. So if they can be stout against the run this football game, this one will come down to the wire. And I just trust Aaron Rodgers more than I do Tyler Huntley or a hurt Lamar Jackson. So we are going to take the Steelers to get the win at home. All the momentum is on the Ravens side. There's really no reason to take the Steelers with their injuries, but there's just something telling me that the Steelers are going to get it done at home. They've been in first place for a while in this division, and I think they hold on right at the end to get into the playoffs. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe. It goes a long way in helping the channel. I'm going to be putting out my playoff predictions and my Super Bowl winner later this week to go along with our wild card pick'ems. So come back for those. Also in the comment section, drop your picks for the week and let me know who you guys like going into the playoffs. That's all I got for you guys this week, and I'll see you in the first round of the playoffs.